Hey everyone, this is Marilyn Hughes with another installment of Tales of the Mendicant Preachers. And today I'm bringing you a fascinating gentleman, Elder Thaddeus of Vitovnica, Serbia. He served out his life at Vitovnica, a monastery in Serbia. He was an Orthodox Serbian priest, monk, and he spoke a great deal about how our thoughts determine our lives. And so just wanted to share a few things from his writings today that I think are very edifying and very helpful to all of us in our little earthly struggles. So off we go. One should cleanse one's heart from worldly plans and desires. Only then can we sincerely love our neighbor. Otherwise, our earthly love will cleave first to one thing and then to another. This is a fleeting, ephemeral love, and it shatters us constantly. We do not live our life with understanding, but superficiality. In anything that we plan to do, we must have one thought and one desire in mind. For this is how God wills it. He wants us all to be of one thought. The Lord prayed for us to be one. And what do? We are always divided, even within our family circle. This is not good. We want our own will to be done. I can understand when this happens, if the head of the family is an atheist and when the Lord calls to the faith of one of the members of his family. But the person whom God has called must act wisely. He must never wage a war in his mind with the rest of the family, for then there will be no progress. In that case, the pious person becomes like an assassin who kills his closest of kin with his thoughts and desires. It is quite another thing if we become one with the Lord and the head of the family says, deny your faith. Then such a person cannot be our parent or our neighbor. We can say, I cannot deny the Lord. I have become one with him in my heart. I am his, and his divine life is in me. I cannot renounce the Lord, but you do as you will. And again, we must never think anything hurtful about this person, for even the slightest negative thought disturbs our peace. Our inner peace is disturbed, and our fellow men become hostile. Therefore, even the most fleeting thought that is not founded on love can destroy anything good. In a large family, it is enough for one person to be dissatisfied. If the person need not show it, it is sufficient if he begins to breed thoughts of self-pity, of how he is mistreated by his neighbors, and the peace in that family is disturbed. A person can disturb the peace of the whole family with his thoughts. Then everyone is unhappy and no one knows the reason why. We should have the same attitude towards all of our fellow men. We must not classify people saying, this one I like, but so and so I do not. By doing so, you will have declared war on the other person, and that person will not tolerate you. Even though you may have not given any outward sign of dislike by word or gesture, you have done so by your thoughts, and that is enough. We Christians have put on Christ at holy baptism. We have put on God, and God is love. How is it that having become one with God at holy baptism, we wage war with him? How do we wage war? By our thoughts. We emit negative thoughts to our fellow men. As soon as we conceive a thought that is not founded on love, we have accepted the evil suggestions of the demons. By accepting a negative thought, we accept the devil himself. The demons are invisible, but we lend them our bodies so that they become visible. We see the spirit that has occupied the soul of a person in the evil that person manifests. The demon makes his appearance through that person, shouting and blaspheming. It is not the person who is shouting insults at God, for the soul is Christian, but the demon which has occupied his body, shoving him this way and that as he pleases. Instead of striving to understand the meaning of life, we resist it and send out wicked thoughts to our fellow men. In this manner, we ourselves become evil. For as soon as such a thought is conceived in our minds, we have accepted the devil, for he is a noetic power and can enter our body. As soon as we have consented to such thoughts, he is here. How many times has he already entered and occupied the bodies of those who are pious, let alone those who are not? How many times have we shown anger toward those who have insulted us or have otherwise behaved unfairly toward us? If we think evil of such a person, it is as if we are killing him. For anything in our thoughts that unites with the feelings of the heart comes before the judgment seat of the Lord. Therefore, we need to recognize evil with discernment and to accept good with discernment. We must be vigilant at all times in order to prevent those with evil intentions from entering our innermost chamber. Vigilance and alertness at all times. I'll just acknowledge. Andrew says, thank you for this reading. Adriana says, hello, Marilyn. I enjoyed all your reading from the Tales of the Mendicant Preachers. Very spiritual, very insightful. Wow, his reading is so divine. Yes. And we will continue here. And let me just make sure I start where I tried to mark these. Anna Yell says, this is timely. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, it's very timely for me as well. Okay, so when we are praying, the first thing that's needed is attentiveness. Without attentiveness, prayer is not worthwhile. But if one neglects prayer completely, that is the worst. You have to work. However, our attention is always wandering. The Holy Fathers have always prayed that God might deliver them from distraction during prayer. We must perform every task diligently with the Lord. The enemy is always trying to distract our mind with where we have been, what we have done, what we have heard, even from our youth. The evil spirits have a way of combining these things. They have an entire archive of all of our doings. They cannot see our inner thoughts, but they can see the state of our soul. Therefore, we need a huge effort to draw our hearts close to the Lord and to be with him at all times. This is labor-filled prayer. Besides labor-filled prayer, there is also grace-filled prayer. Seeing our efforts, our desire to become one with him, discarding all worldly desires, he releases us gradually from the cares of this world and from attachment to worldly things and brings the soul into a state of humility and simplicity. The soul no longer takes insults to heart, and it becomes peaceful, accepting everything with humility. The soul gradually becomes cleansed, ready to accept the divine flame in order to have unceasing prayer through the Holy Spirit. The innocent and simple-hearted And those who are not burdened by the cares of this world are given the divine flame of unceasing prayer sooner. On the other hand, we who are curious to know this and that are overburdened with the cares and interests of this world. We need time to be renewed, to abandon our worldly cares, to be reborn. However, we cannot do this on our own. The Holy Spirit needs to come down and enter our heart and push out all the worldly things so that the wisdom of this world no longer occupies it. Then we will be one with God. It is only then that the Lord grants us true wisdom and true deep knowledge about all existing things. The heavenly mysteries are revealed in proportion to the degree of a person's humility. To a meek and humble person is given to know the mystery of everything that surrounds us. Such a person has a spiritual understanding of all things. He has a more profound understanding than those who have spent years studying the wisdom of the world. The key to the mystery is in God, and until they can free themselves from the wisdom of the world, men cannot have complete knowledge of things. They may think that they have achieved much, that their knowledge on a certain subject is great. But as long as they see things in that perspective, divine wisdom cannot enter their minds and hearts. To such people, only superficial facts are given for their efforts in studying medicine or physics. In the spiritual realm, thoughts are as clear as speech. They can be heard. For this reason, the labor one invests for the betterment of one's soul is more valuable than any other gift. If we do not prepare ourselves for eternity by correcting our characters, we will not be able to enter the company of the angels and saints. Then we will pass into eternity with all these faults and sins. As long as we have even the slightest support from anything that is of this world, we put very little trust in God. The Holy Fathers always accepted both fortune and misfortune as coming from God, and they achieved humility. When He sees that a soul is ready, the Lord sends the grace of the Holy Spirit upon that person, and he receives the gift of freedom, peace, joy, and consolation. There is no more fear. As for us on the earth, we are always full of fears. Until a person is illumined by the Holy Spirit, fear is always present. Afterwards, there is no fear. Such a soul has compassion for everyone. He understands that all creation suffers because of the fall of man. Such a person is always ready to weep for all, and to pray for all. I just want to acknowledge John entered. Thank you, John. Hi, nice to see you. Adriana says, I sometimes struggle with negative thoughts entering my mind. I pray so hard during these times. Me too. In this world, it is possible for a person to expend great effort and labor for the good of his fellow men, yet for his soul to remain soiled with sin. A person can pass through most of the toll houses, yet be pushed into the abyss as he reaches the toll house of mercy. For in spite of all his efforts, he failed to notice that his heart was firmly bound to the powers of Hades. He may have performed many good deeds in his lifetime. Many souls may have been saved through his efforts. Say he built many churches. But if he did not focus on cleansing his soul, then the attachment of his thoughts to the things of this world will not permit him to enter the world of eternal values that can be perceived by clean souls only. Such a person is under the rule of the spirits of wickedness according to the level of his unmercifulness. Even during his earthly life, he is in their power. When his soul departs his body, such a person will be in their power. Our enemy attacks either directly or else indirectly through other people. And so we fight according to the Lord's providence, and we gradually come to our senses. Without misfortune, there is no prayer to God. And so we come to realize that our support here in this life is nil. The soul seeks unchangeable love, but there is no such thing here on earth. Only the Lord can comfort us. To the degree that we let go of our worldly cares, the Lord allows us to feel that He is with us. The Lord is peace, joy. He is Father, Mother, and friend to us. We have everything in Him. He is the one who satisfies the needs of the soul. When a soul becomes one with the Lord, it must always keep vigil. We are still in our bodies through which we are attached to the things of the world. Often the Lord allows the enemy to surprise us, and we wonder what has happened to us. The Lord permits these things to happen in order that we might realize we are nothing, and the trust we place in ourselves is nothing. We must learn to never ascribe merit to ourselves. We must always be careful to please the Lord in every deed or thought. Yes, even in our thoughts. Every task we perform in this world is God's work. If we loved the Lord with all of our heart, we would never fall into sin as long as we lived, for He would be with us. He is the power by whose flame every unclean thing and every sin is burned away. Nothing unholy would ever enter our hearts. Because we live in the flesh and are unclean, whenever we wish to show our love for our neighbor, our bodily passions interfere. We must separate love from the passions. The passions are the fruit of the demons. We must focus our attentions on divine love, which does not discriminate. Divine love is not egotistical. It is all encompassing and finds joy in all things. Thank you, John, so much for the super chat. John says, thank you, Marilyn, for bringing the wisdom of Elder Thaddeus to us. You're very welcome. I am honored to bring it. The elder continues here. He says, the warfare of thoughts and the enslavement by thoughts, this is an unceasing battle. It never stops. However, if a person with God's help becomes more knowledgeable in blocking the attacks that come in the form of thoughts, he will know that these attacks are from the devil and will cry out, "Oh Lord, what filth is in me?" Along came the thought that so and so insulted me, and this thought will not abandon me. After that, I heard about the war in such and such a country and the injustice that is being carried out there. And again, my thoughts will not leave me in peace, and I begin stating my opinion. All of a sudden, my peace is shattered. I have begun to pass judgment. We must leave everything to the Lord. He will take care of everything in the world. Our thoughts should not become involved in these worldly matters. If we let them do that, we will always be at war with the world, fighting with words and thoughts, and we will never have peace. At the end of our earthly life, it will turn out that we have become accustomed to constant arguments. A tempest of thoughts and confusion of the mind after a person has confessed and heard the advice of his spiritual father means that the person has succumbed to pride and that he is waging a war in his thoughts against his spiritual father. The Lord sees this and permits temptations to befall such a person. When a person loses grace, he does not realize it for quite some time, thinking that he is still in a state of grace, for his thoughts are still alive. He does not realize that he has grown cold and is in peril of losing life eternal. On the other hand, put a humble and meek person into Hades, and he will not complain. Great temptations and suffering come before or after the good that the Lord gives us. This happens so that the Lord may not be filled with pride. This happens so that the soul may not be filled with pride. The Lord desired to become incarnate from eternity, for he knew that rational beings would not preserve their state. We must return to our original state of being pure, meek, humble, and good in order that we may be in communion with God, who is love. It is only when man enters into communion with the angels and saints that the soul is able to understand the divine. The Lord sometimes allows this to happen to an ordinary person. When a suffering person has no comfort, no consolation from anyone on earth, when he feels despised and rejected by everyone, then the Lord sometimes also himself comforts this soul. All those fallen noetic powers are circling the earth. Every sin is a property of the fallen spirits. Every sin is first a thought, a powerful thought. The fallen spirits try to find consolation. Some of them look for it in wrath and anger, others in desperation, yet others in fornication. Even among the fallen spirits, there are different degrees of wickedness. One must always be natural and devoid of all conceit, ego, and pride. As soon as one becomes conceited, it is quite clear where the conceitedness comes from the fallen spirits that circle around. While it is in the body, the soul is protected, but when it is out of the body, it is completely unprotected, naked, and vulnerable, like a snail when it is taken out of its shell. If a soul remains in humility, then the Lord enlightens it more and more. There are people who are united with God to such an extent that no unclean thoughts ever touch their minds. They never enter into any kind of contact in their thoughts with the fallen spirits. We see from the example of St. James the Faster that the goal of the fallen spirits is to force men to commit sins so that they may lose the gift of healing and miracle working. However, one must also know this. There have also been those who fell into sin, although they led a holy life. This was because they had not cleansed themselves completely of all impurity. There is the example of a certain virgin who fell into the sin of pride to the extent that she came to despise all married people. Philosophical purity lasts for as long as a person's thoughts are immersed in philosophy. We must attain a purity that is a result of our love for God. We are very distracted and our concentration is weak. We are like a broken mirror that reflects reality in small fragments until the power of God makes us whole again, able to faithfully reflect his image. Our wicked thoughts generate evil and disturb the peace in the universe. What is the velocity of movement of the angels? Angels are spiritual beings, and the velocity of the spirit is equal to the velocity of thought. The velocity of thought is the velocity of the spirit. If the soul is not revealed through the body, it is exposed through thought. At night, the soul communicates with the noetic world. The demons always prey upon a pious soul that is full of light. They want to suffocate such a soul. It is as though a rebel has appeared in their dark realm. We permit the spirits of evil to approach us through our pride. During sleep and upon awaking, the soul can be in different states. When the soul is at peace, the thoughts are rested. In another instance, a person goes to bed rested, but in the morning arises all broken and tired, as though he had been laboring at some cumbersome task all night. And his thoughts are restless. It is as though a film strip were inside his head, showing him scenes from the past, and at the same time, blurry plans for the future appear. From these intrusions, the soul makes its own combinations. When the soul is clean from these combinations and from stress, then the person's dreams are peaceful, and he awakes in the morning, rested and renewed. It is possible for us to even wage war with the souls of other people in our sleep and to argue with them. The Lord permits many disappointments, sorrows, and misfortunes to befall us in this earthly life in order that we might stop placing our trust in the world, which harms us so much, and that we might realize that He alone is the source of all comfort, peace, and stillness. We are usually angered when someone insults us or ridicules us until divine grace comes upon us. When we receive grace, we no longer feel hurt when others insult us, but remain quiet and peaceful, as though the insult was not directed at us at all. When there is an argument, we always go out of our way to convince the other person that he is wrong. That is how the atmosphere becomes tense. The other person argues and will not accept our correction, and as for us, we are wasting our time and disturbing our inner peace for nothing. If we have discernment, we will know who it is who is really talking. We will know that it is not our opponent, but the fallen spirit speaking through him. It is useless arguing with those who have been waging war against mankind for thousands of years and who are very agile and practiced in this warfare against people. One should preach not from one's rational mind, but rather from the heart. Only that which is from the heart can touch another heart. One must never attack or oppose anyone. If he who preaches must tell people to keep away from a certain kind of evil, he must do so meekly and humbly with the fear of God. So this is our mendicant preacher today, passed away in 1987 in Vitovnica, Serbia. Beautiful monastery. Let's see if there's a picture here I can share with you. There was one in here. Let's see if I can find it. He stayed in that monastery his whole life. People flocked from all over Croatia to see him. Here it is. This is where he lived during the later years of his life. Church of the Dormition. Just a simple, humble monastery. Simple, humble monk. But he was known far and wide for his wisdom, and people came. And what a blessing. This is another side of that same church where he lived. What a blessing that he did not have to. This is a view of Mount Athos where he stayed part of his life in the early years, just for a short time before he was sent to Mount Tovnica. And here is the front of the monastery that he served at in the early years before he was sent to Vitovnica for the remainder of his life. Isn't that a beautiful little church in the middle of the countryside? This one is called the Miljkovo Monastery Church. Entry of the Theotokos into the temple. MT says, it is very interesting to hear what you are reading. In my experience just yesterday, I went to bed in anger. As soon as I got out of my body, my spirit was transported to the realm of chaos immediately. I understood deeply how important it is to go to bed in peace in order to travel effectively. Adriana says, thank you for sharing, MT. MT says, the book I just purchased, thank you for sharing. It is so timely. You brought this up today. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. And of course, I can also relate, as I'm sure all of you can as well. Such a powerful thing. And, you know, I read the whole thing, and really what the essence of his teachings were throughout his life was, you know, that basically our thoughts determine our lives, but also this whole idea that the way that we think about others, to realize that we can be waging war against our brothers and our sisters and our friends in our own thoughts. And in reading this, it's given me a new way to regard my own thinking, my own thoughts, and taking it a little deeper than I had before, in realizing, you know, I don't want to wage war with my thoughts, and realizing the trueness of this, even from the standpoint of out-of-body travel, because it is true that thoughts become things. And in the out-of-body travel experience, our thoughts are manifest. And so, ironically, he speaks in the beginning of the book about out-of-body travel. And he was a mystical traveler, and he speaks very clearly about the soul leaving the body at night, and that he obviously did this. But what we are doing is actually bringing together some of the things that we already know from the experiences that we've had in out-of-body experiences, right? About thoughts becoming things, but maybe have neglected to take it as far as we needed to. That, wow, you really are waging war even in your thoughts. And the realization of the necessity of peaceful thoughts And this brings me back even to like Thich Nhat Hanh and peace is every step. The importance of every thought that we have being peaceful. And so I will leave you all with that. Thank you so much for joining me here. I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much, John, for the super chat. I'm very honored by that. Thank you, everyone else, for being here as well. And again, subscribe, keeps us searchable, and please consider becoming a member. It helps us keep our materials available for free to everyone in the world. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.